Thank you for the click. My name is Luxley, and on the day before tomorrow, you and I are going to discuss the top 10 questions the Activision Blizzard Microsoft deal raises. Now, unless you didn't pay your internet or cell phone bill, I'm 100% certain, 120%, maybe even 1,000% certain. Yeah, you guys heard the big news about the $68.7 billion deal between the two companies, and you probably watched one or two videos on the topic. Let me guess. I've seen this before. I've seen it 100 times. It kind of pisses me off because I have a Wall Street background and these people don't know what they're talking about. Some numbnut sits in front of an Activision Blizzard stock graph, explains fictitious reasons for every peak and valley, and tells you how Bobby Kotick delivered shareholders a soft landing. The fact is, this deal raises a hell of a lot more questions than answers. Questions about what lies ahead for the gaming industry, questions about Blizzard, as well as questions about World of Warcraft. Most of the time, asking the right questions is a hell of a lot more important than shooting ridiculous, fictitious answers from the hip. I certainly do not have all the answers, and neither do the overwhelming amount of videos out there on this topic. But I do have 10 years experience on Wall Street. I've been to the puppet show there, I've seen the strings, and I know a little bit about how things work. One thing a little bit out of the norm about this deal is the fact that it is a cash deal and not a stock deal. I'll explain why that is very significant later on in the video, but first, here are 10 very important questions I believe this deal raises. The short answer is yes. In the words of the classic rock song, "Won't Get Fooled Again" by The Who, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, may not be the case with Microsoft signing paychecks for Blizzard, Activision Blizzard employees going forward. Other potential suitors with deep enough pockets to close a deal of this magnitude include Tencent, Sony, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and from a merger of equals approach, how does this sound? Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard. Yeah, things could have been a lot worse. During the alpha beta for Shadowlands, I joked regularly about why Blizzard doesn't listen to the fans about the glaring issues with covenants. There's a ton of videos out there where WoW prognosticators are sitting there and they're saying, well, Blizzard's really listening this time, but they listen to everything except for stuff about the covenants. And I said, Blizzard does not listen to us because we do not speak Chinese. Imagine if Activision Blizzard cashed out to Tencent. In recent years, Activision Blizzard demonstrated a propensity to bow and curtsy to the whims and demands of the Chinese empire and their 1.5 billion customers. All of us have seen this firsthand with the announcement of Diablo Immortal at BlizzCon 2018. Oh, you guys have phones, don't you? Not to mention the whole Blitzchung incidents of October 2019. Keep in mind, Tencent is one of Activision Blizzard's largest shareholders with a 5% stake. This particular deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard must receive shareholder approval in order to go through and come into fruition. It is possible Tencent lobbies against the deal or presents a last-minute counteroffer. The bottom line here is Tencent, like Microsoft, is part of the gaming industry and may read the tea leaves of where things are going to go in the future the same exact way Microsoft does, which means they could see tremendous value with Activision Blizzard. I am not stating that will happen, but it is a fair and reasonable possibility. In a recent interview with Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, also known as Gallywix, and Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, they mentioned the Metaverse, also known as the complexion of the gaming industry's future. Basically, that sums it up. These guys are like two wizards pulling levers and pressing buttons behind a curtain. They didn't go into detail about the Metaverse, nor divulge anything about their company's role. So what exactly is the Metaverse? Think Spielberg's Ready Player One, but something more accessible and something more pragmatic. It's a simulated digital environment that uses AR and VR technology and blockchain to create spaces for rich and immersive user interaction mimicking the real world. To get there, gaming companies will need to move towards cloud storage technology and state-of-the-art artificial intelligence, along with other cutting-edge tech. We've seen Netflix, Apple, and Amazon revolutionize the TV and movie business. Movie theaters are about 80% vacant and will probably turn into self-storage facilities sooner than later, and Blockbuster is long dead and buried. And trust me, no one drops flowers on their grave, especially if they still owe them late fees. It was actually an article I saw about Blockbuster trying to collect late fees on someone still. We've also seen Apple and Spotify kill CD retailers like Sam Goody, Tower Records, and Borders. Saw a great documentary on Tower Records and used to love that place, and now no longer in business. CDs made vinyl records obsolete. Digital MP3s did the same for CDs. Bottom line, TV, movies, music went digital, streamed via the web. And now, with the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, the same thing is happening to the gaming industry. The Metaverse is going to turn the gaming industry into a Netflix type of business model. Cloud-based systems will store video games, and for a flat monthly fee, kind of basically a subscription, you can play any given game in their library. As a result, video games will no longer be stored on your phone, console, or computer, which leads to the next question. Most definitely, and here's why. Cloud-based video games present benefits to both gaming publishers as well as consumers. It's a win-win. There are no hardware requirements, no bare minimum GPU or CPU, memory, storage requirements on the user end. Translation, high-tech video games become more accessible to a lot more players. Plus, hardcore gamers are no longer going to feel compelled to upgrade their computer every 2 to 3 years, which translates into more money for McDonald's, or more importantly, more money for games, and from the industry perspective, more money from microtransactions. Cloud-based video games make it a lot smoother and easier for gamers to multitask, play more than one game, talk on Discord and watch a video, maybe run some other software all at the same time. Furthermore, cloud-based video games can be distributed on any given device, phone, console, computer, running any given operating system. As far as the video game publishers are concerned, the data cybersecurity that is associated with cloud-based gaming helps curtail quite a bit of things that they've been fighting for a long time. For example, number one on that list, video game piracy is basically curtailed because the game files are no longer stored locally. 2, DDoS attacks because the servers are a lot more secure. 3, bots and cheat software are less prevalent because they lack direct access to the game files. And number 4, download time for patches or DSLs as well as server downtime due to maintenance will greatly be limited. Plus, and I know a lot of players will be happy about this, loading screens will more or less be a thing of the past. Video games smaller than Activision Blizzard, which basically is the entire industry with the exception of 2 or 3 companies, are going to be scrambling in the near future. In other words, companies like NCSoft and Square Enix with $3 billion and $2 billion in sales, respectively, will be looking for a partner with a secure and reliable cloud-based system. That means games like Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy XIV are going to have a new boss within the next 3 to 5 years, if not much sooner. And I'll go into greater detail on that and talk about why later on in the video. Musical Chairs is starting. The DJ is already playing the music, and Musical Chairs is commencing in the gaming industry. It's adapt, find a partner, or go down for the count. NCSoft and Square Enix are going to be shedding a few pounds, put on their sexiest dress, or maybe their prettiest dress, and start looking for a partner. Both companies do not have a reliable cloud-based system for their games, as well as state-of-the-art artificial intelligence. I'm going to go into that. That's one of the questions going forward, so we'll talk more about that later. And if we play a little bit of Monopoly here, we can find out who's left on the board with the necessary money and or market capital to step in and purchase NCSoft or Square Enix. Companies like Tencent, Sony, NetEase, Amazon, maybe even Electronic Arts. None of them are great prospects because there is a better than 50-50 shot. They're not going to maintain or respect the independent spirit of NCSoft or Square Enix. It certainly is possible Microsoft is not done building their library of game titles. It's a possibility. Imagine paying one sub fee for Final Fantasy XIV and WoW, as well as playing both games at the same time. Play Final Fantasy while you wait in a queue for a BG or some sort of dungeon group, and WoW. It's a reasonable possibility somewhere down the road. In the previous segment, I touched upon the importance of artificial intelligence in video games in the future. Microsoft, first and foremost, is a giant among the tech giants, and their AI division is state-of-the-art. The future of gaming is going to be implementing machine learning, aka artificial intelligence, into NPCs and raid bosses. WoW raiding is already, arguably, the gold standard of raiding for MMOs. Imagine raid bosses with adaptive learning. Their complexity and nuance will reach something greater than a Dark Souls mob or boss level of difficulty. 3 to 5 years down the road, maybe even sooner, Microsoft's AI tech will turn into a realistic possibility for all Activision Blizzard games. Such a move could transform the WoW raid scene from today's game of checkers into tomorrow's chess match. A big reason why this deal is moving forward is because Activision Blizzard's AI, how should I put this? It sucks. Have you ever played Comp Stomp? The Brawl Comp Stomp? More importantly, did you ever lose, let alone come within 500 points of possibly losing? This isn't speculation on my part, this is fact. In a recent interview, Bobby Kotick said, Activision Blizzard does not possess the necessary AI going forward, nor do we have the means to effectively develop it. Bobby Kotick might be a heartless and soulless, greedy and sleazy son of a blank, but one thing he's not, he's not dumb. I seriously doubt WoW goes free to play in the near future. Now, despite a lack of sub growth and a steady increase of attrition in recent years, which are really bad things, WoW is still a very profitable cash cow. And the bottom line is, a company can and will milk a cow for a very long period of time, but they can only butcher it once. Letting go of a consistent and reliable revenue stream is not a chapter in the corporate America playbook. But here is where the good news trickles in and kind of takes a bow in the spotlight. A cloud-based system could lend to looser restrictions on a WoW trial account, and parts of WoW, for example, mission tables, pet battles, and other side games, could be distributed as a free-to-play business model for iPhones or console. Here's the bottom line. More players are going to be teased and incentivized to subscribe to not only WoW, but also the entire Microsoft gaming library. The library includes Fallout, Elder Scrolls Online. Back in September of 2020, Microsoft purchased ZeniMax, aka Bethesda, for $7.5 billion. Elder Scrolls Online is currently on console. It's possible Microsoft will release a diluted version of WoW for console. Then again, they could also fabricate a special MMO controller for console for both WoW as well as ESO, and release an uncompromised version of WoW in the process. The point is, there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of unanswered questions for WoW under the direction of Microsoft Gaming. Keep in mind, the most attractive Activision Blizzard titles / assets for Microsoft are Candy Crush, COD, and Hearthstone. WoW could be bundled with other computer-based games and spun off as a new company as a value-driven IPO for Microsoft shareholders, or outright sold to another company. After all, this deal is 100% cash-based, not stock-based. An IPO or sale of assets could generate money and help fund the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal if Microsoft chooses. Let's face it, Microsoft has the money, but maybe they want to be fiscally responsible and find a way to pay for the deal. But here's why keeping WoW makes a lot of sense. In addition to WoW Classic, Burning Crusade Classic, and of course the much anticipated Wrath of the Lich King Classic, those are gold nuggets. Why? Because they generate MAUs. And keep this in mind, if you log into Retail WoW, Classic WoW, and the Burning Crusade during any given month, by industry standards, it counts as 3 MAUs, not just 1 MAU. That's where the juice is for a game like WoW. It's possible WoW receives a much needed cash infusion, meaning the entire game engine and the entire monetization concept is overhauled and or recreated in the form of a WoW 2. And I'm gonna say a prayer for that. That's something that I've been talking about since the end of WoD. Something, and keep in mind, this is something Activision Blizzard chose not to do with their capital expenditures back around the time period 2013 through 2015. Instead, they used their time and money to diversify their game portfolio by developing new titles, and we know them: Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and of course they spent $5.9 billion to purchase King, also known as Candy Crush, in November 2015. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, if Blizzard didn't step up and buy King, I don't know how attractive they would be to Microsoft here and now. According to Gallywix, I mean Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, the answer is no. Of course, what other possible answer can Kotick be expected to mutter off his lips? The reality is, even if Kotick is confined to a wheelchair, he's somehow going to find a way, a new and improved way, to dance around that question every single time. The legal situation for Activision Blizzard is pretty serious. It really is. I mean, they're currently under 2 investigations by the government, and the government doesn't start an investigation if the end game isn't some kind of big fat fine. You know, one investigation is by the DFEH, which is California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing. They're under investigation, as you know, for a culture of sexual harassment. And the other investigation is by the SEC for disclosures regarding employment matters and related issues. If the county sues them, whatever county they're in California, if they step up and sue them, they can hit the trifecta of lawsuits from local, state, and federal authorities. Oh, by the way, there are also 2 active lawsuits against Activision Blizzard, one by the employees and one by the shareholders. Now, if the janitor sues them, that'll be just about everybody. Nevertheless, the idea of Activision Blizzard selling out because of the lawsuits is probably not the main reason, but it does factor in. And I'm going to go into greater detail why later in the video when I answer the number 1 question: is the Microsoft deal good for Activision Blizzard? However, I do believe Activision Blizzard's bargaining position has been greatly compromised and their overall value has been discounted as a result of these piled on lawsuits, particularly the one from the state of California. But here's where the possibility of a legal sort of mulligan exists. Make no mistake, if Activision Blizzard loses the California lawsuit, and they probably will, they're going to be hit with a rather huge fine. But if they hang up a sign under new management and on the front door, there's a possibility the state of California shows mercy in the form of a little bit of a smaller fine. Is Blizzard finally free of Activision's evil influence? Bobby Kotick publicly stated he's going to stick around Activision Blizzard until the Microsoft deal is expected to close in June of 2023. After that, both Wall Street as well as the gaming industry believe Kotick is going to leave. He's going to be out of there so fast his shoes are going to leave skid marks on the floor. So it's a fair and reasonable belief in the next 18 months or so, Blizzard will be finally purged of Kotick. For all intents and purposes, Kotick was the embodiment of Activision Blizzard, much in the same way Gallywix is the caricature of Bobby Kotick. I honestly do not know much about the culture in Microsoft gaming and how they treat the creative process. The truth is, I know less about Microsoft gaming than a prom queen knows about mufflers and transmissions. If someone out there knows a little bit more, please leave your thoughts. I do read the comments. I often do respond. Tell me your experience. Tell me your thoughts. I definitely look forward to reading that. I am not a fan of Microsoft, the giant among tech giants, but I do realize Microsoft gaming may or may not share the same values and or beliefs as the parent company Microsoft. The son doesn't automatically embrace the father's beliefs 100% of the time. A lot of WoW fans believe Activision imposed incredibly huge creative restrictions on the WoW devs for years, and I happen to be one of them. And I do believe if and when the deal does get closed 18 months from now, things are going to change for the better at Blizzard. There are a hell of a lot of possibilities of what can happen to Blizzard and WoW, but the majority of those possibilities are pretty damn good. On some level, purchasing Activision Blizzard is a very, very odd move for Microsoft. In November of 2021, which is 3 months ago from the upload of this video, Microsoft CEO Phil Spencer in a staff email stated, and I quote, "Due to the sexual and employee discrimination practices at Activision Blizzard, we will be re-evaluating our relationship with them going forward." So what does he do? He decides to buy the company. But I guess money talks, and Activision Blizzard offers Microsoft tremendous value for the future. Yes, $68.7 billion is a ton of money. It'll probably take 2 years to count that kind of money, but deals of this magnitude and nature are more often than not based on future evaluations. But deals of this magnitude and nature are more often than not based on future valuations, not today's valuations. Overnight, this deal catapults Microsoft into the bronze medal slot as the third largest video game company in the world. Tencent and Sony nabbed the gold and silver medals, coming in at number 1 and 2 respectively. As a result of the pandemic, the gaming industry enjoyed one of their best years, actually their outright best year ever, with over $200 billion in worldwide revenues. And the prospects for the gaming industry going forward in the future is also very bright. More specifically, here's the reason why purchasing Activision Blizzard makes a hell of a lot of sense for Microsoft Gaming. Microtransactions and monthly active users. The Microsoft Game Pass currently has about 20 million subscribers or users. The deal for Activision Blizzard gives Microsoft direct access to well over 200 million more users and subscribers. And that 200 million is a very low figure. Do the math. That's roughly a tenfold increase. Furthermore, Microsoft expands their video game library by a considerable amount. They add several premium titles with huge followings and increase the value of their cloud-based system going forward. In spite of the pending investigations and lawsuits against Activision Blizzard, Microsoft clearly believes the rewards here that they're going to reap and the price they pay greatly exceeds the risk. I mean, let's face it, this isn't private information. This is public information, these lawsuits and investigations. And Microsoft's still going through with the deal. Are they right? I honestly don't know. But I am more willing to bet on Microsoft rather than bet against them. Believe it or not, the $68.7 billion price tag could prove to be a bargain years down the road. Even that $5 billion something price tag that Blizzard paid for King going back a few years ago seemed like a lot at the time, and now, because of the current valuation, it's actually pretty cheap. But the reality is the state of California's lawsuit could potentially hit Activision Blizzard with a 7, 8, or 9-figure fine. That is the main reason why a cash deal makes sense for Microsoft, because the final price can be readjusted to include that potential fine. And finally, I get to the most important question: is the deal good for Activision Blizzard? In a recent interview, Bobby Kotick said, Activision Blizzard lacks the necessary secure and reliable cloud-based platform as well as state-of-the-art artificial intelligence to be competitive in the future, the Metaverse. Kotick also said, and I quote from the recent interview with GamesBeat, as you look at the increased competition from Tencent, NetEase, Sony, and now you have Google and Amazon and Apple and Facebook and Microsoft and Netflix, we were looking at, over the course of the next couple of years, it's startling to realize that we're going to need thousands of people to execute our production plans. We need them in disciplines like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, or in purpose-built cloud and cybersecurity, and we just don't have that. And competition for that kind of business or that kind of talent is expensive and really hard to come by. The cold hard fact is some of the companies Kotick mentioned as competition for the video gaming space going forward are $2 to $3 trillion companies. True, Activision Blizzard is a huge company, but they are a small fish compared to the market cap or the overall revenues or tech resources, cash reserves of all the competition Kotick mentioned. The smallest of the bunch is Netflix, with a market cap of $230 billion, which is almost 4 times larger than Activision's market cap of $68.7 billion. And that's assuming the deal goes through at $95 a share. Why is a company's market cap important? It's a good question. With the Metaverse on the gaming industry's not so distant horizon, a rapid consolidation of video game publisher is inevitable. And partnerships with tech-based companies who offer secure cloud-based storage and artificial intelligence will also be of paramount importance. Such acquisitions require one of two things: either cash or a fat market cap. Bottom line, yeah, Bobby Kotick is bringing in Activision Blizzard shareholders for a soft landing. Somehow, this guy lands on his feet again. The shareholders make out, Activision Blizzard makes out, and hopefully, fans of the game, fan of World of Warcraft here, hopefully we make out. My name is Luxley. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Leave a like on the video or a dislike, whatever you feel. Either way, it helps me out, and that's what I'm looking for, a little bit of help. And I'm going to leave you with a final thought. Whatever it is by you, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night, make your day epic.